Ever wondered how climate change is transforming our urban environments? Let's take a closer look at New York City, a city that faced the wrath of climate change in 2023. New York City, an icon of human achievement, is at a surprising disadvantage. Nestled between the East and Hudson rivers, the city's unique geographical position makes it exceptionally vulnerable to flooding. It's a metropolis surrounded by water bodies and low-lying areas, a ticking time bomb in the face of rising sea levels and climate change. Over the years, the city has been grappling with an increasing frequency and intensity of floods. Climate change, the culprit behind more extreme weather events, is a significant part of the problem. It has been fueling heavy rainfalls and storms, pushing the city's drainage system to its limits. To add to the mix, urbanization with its concrete jungles leaves little room for water absorption, exacerbating the flooding issue. In the autumn of 2023, New York City was hit by one of the worst floods in its history. Imagine this. In just a few hours, more than 5 inches of rain descended upon the city, turning streets into rivers, subways into underwater tunnels, and high-rises into isolated islands. The damage was not just widespread, it was devastating. Homes were destroyed, infrastructure crippled, and thousands of lives were thrown into chaos. As the rain poured and the city drowned, the 2023 floods marked a catastrophic chapter in New York City's history. The city was shaken to its core, but it was more than just a wake-up call. It was a stark reminder of our changing climate and the unseen impact it has on our urban environments. As we move forward, we must understand these impacts, learn from them, and take collective action to mitigate their effects. Because ultimately, it's not just about New York City, it's about every urban space, every home, every life that is at stake in the face of climate change. September 2023 was not just another month for the residents of New York City. The skies opened, and what followed was a deluge like no other. It was as if the heavens had decided to unload their burden on the city that never sleeps. Rain poured down in torrents, relentless, unforgiving. Within hours, it amounted to over 5 inches. But the skies weren't done yet. They promised 7 more inches, a promise they kept. The city's arterial veins, its streets and highways found themselves overwhelmed, submerged under the onslaught of rain. The FDR Drive, a crucial lifeline of the city, succumbed to the high water levels, rendering it impassable. Drivers caught off guard were forced to abandon their vehicles. The roads transformed into rivers in a matter of hours. But the devastation wasn't confined to the streets. The subway system, the city's underground pulse, faced the brunt of the storm. It was a scene straight out of a dystopian novel. Subway stations and basements flooded, most lines experiencing suspensions, reroutes, or delays. The Metropolitan Transportation Authority had no choice but to advise residents to stay home. And then there were the flights. LaGuardia Airport, one of the busiest in the world, was brought to its knees. Flights halted and then delayed because of water in the refueling area. It wasn't just New York City. Neighboring towns and cities like Hoboken, New Jersey were caught in the storm's path too. The immediate aftermath was a testament to the storm's wrath. Lives were lost, people were displaced, and the city's infrastructure, its lifeline, was left in shambles. Roads, bridges, power lines, the flood spared nothing. The cost of the damage ran into the billions. The city that never sleeps was brought to a standstill, submerged under the relentless downpour. The waters receded, but they left behind a city in ruins. The aftermath of the 2023 floods was a sight that New Yorkers would never forget. As the rain subsided, the city began to take stock of the devastation. Infrastructure lay in tatters. Roads and bridges bore the brunt of the floods, making commutes a nightmare. Power lines were down, plunging parts of the city into darkness. The subway system, the lifeline of the city, was crippled for days, with many lines experiencing suspensions, reroutes, or delays. The economic impact was staggering. Businesses, big and small, were forced to shut their doors. The heart of the city's economy missed a beat as the financial district went under. The total cost of the damage ran into billions of dollars, a price tag that would take years to pay off. But in the midst of the chaos, the city began to rebuild. The local government, community organizations, and individuals rolled up their sleeves to restore New York to its former glory. Emergency services worked round the clock, pumping out water and repairing infrastructure. Residents opened their homes to those displaced, offering a warm meal and a place to stay. Businesses rallied, providing resources and funding to aid in the recovery efforts. The road to recovery was a testament to the resilience of New York City. The city that never sleeps proved that it was also the city that never gives up. Every brick laid, every road repaired was a step towards healing. The city was battered but not broken. The spirit of New York was stronger than any storm. The flood of 2023 served as a stark reminder of the impacts of climate change, but it also showed us that when a city comes together, it can weather any storm. New York City had a long road ahead, but it was a road that it was ready to walk. In the face of adversity, the spirit of New York City shone bright. It was clear that the road to recovery would be long, but the city was ready to rise again. The 2023 floods were a stark reminder of an invisible enemy that we've been fighting: climate change. This isn't a distant, abstract concept, but a very real and present danger. Climate change is not just warming our planet, it's intensifying our weather, it's turning our rainstorms into deluges, our drizzles into downpours. The 2023 floods weren't an isolated incident. They're part of a pattern of extreme weather that's becoming all too common. With climate change, we're seeing more frequent and severe storms causing devastating floods like the ones that hit New York City. But it's not just about extreme weather. Sea level rise, another consequence of global warming, is making our cities more vulnerable to flooding. As the polar ice caps melt, our oceans are swelling, encroaching upon our coastlines, seeping into our cities. This is our invisible enemy, and it's a fight we cannot afford to lose. The scientific consensus is clear. We need to drastically reduce greenhouse gas emissions. We need to transition away from fossil fuels towards renewable energy. We need to adapt, to build resilience against the climate impacts that are already here and those that are coming. As we stand at the front lines of climate change, the time to act is now. The devastating 2023 floods brought with them a crucial lesson: the need for preparedness, mitigation, and adaptation. In response to this growing threat, New York City is taking significant steps. Infrastructure is being elevated and fortified, with seawalls being built to protect against rising sea levels. But it's not just about grand designs and engineering marvels. Small, community-led initiatives are also playing a crucial role. From green roofs that absorb rainwater to local flood warning systems, these initiatives are making the city more resilient, one block at a time. Policy measures are equally important. Stringent building codes are being enforced to ensure new constructions are flood-resistant. Urban planning is being rethought, prioritizing permeable surfaces that allow water to seep into the ground rather than flooding our streets. But adaptation isn't just about changing our cities. It's also about changing our mindset. We're learning to respect the power of nature and understand our role in mitigating its wrath. We're learning that every one of us has a part to play, whether it's reducing our carbon footprint, supporting sustainable policies, or simply being prepared for extreme weather events. As we look towards the future, the fight against climate change continues. Together, we can build a resilient New York City, ready to face whatever comes its way. In the face of a changing climate, the 2023 floods were a wake-up call for New York City and the world. We've journeyed through the unseen impact, the moment the skies opened, and the aftermath that left a city grappling with its vulnerabilities. We saw the invisible enemy, climate change, exacerbating the severity of these extreme weather events, pushing us to confront our actions and their consequences. We've also delved into the science behind these floods, understanding the interplay of drastic weather patterns, sea level rise, and urbanization that left the city at the mercy of the elements. We witnessed the damage, the resilience, and the road to recovery, where mitigation and adaptation strategies are now more crucial than ever. From building seawalls to elevating vulnerable infrastructure, the city is taking strides to fortify itself against the future, showing us that resilience is possible. Yet it's not just about New York City. It's about every city, every town, and every individual. It's about recognizing our shared responsibility to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, to protect ourselves and the generations to come. The story of the 2023 floods is not just about a city submerged, but about a city that rose again, stronger and more resilient. It's a story of hope, resilience, and the power of human spirit.